All around us, the world is changing. Glaciers are melting, animals are becoming endangered, forests are disappearing, and the earth is dying. One of the most pressing issues of today is industrial pollution. Industrial pollution refers specifically to any pollution or contamination caused by industrialization and industrial activities. Industrial pollution is a big issue because most of the pollution done today is caused by industry, making this type of pollution the most significant form of pollution on the planet. The question we should be asking is, why is it happening? Industrial pollution is happening for many different reasons, including lack of effective policies, the increase in companies and industries, the old and outdated technology they are using, the natural resources that are being wasted and being found under the earth, the improper disposal of waste. Many companies choose not to follow laws that countries have in place against climate change. Because of the lack of enforcement done by governments, these companies are able to get away with escaping the law. The number of companies and industries that are increasing, therefore pollution is increasing. Especially smaller companies that rely on governments, this enables them to escape the law. Old and outdated technology. Nowadays, there are many green ways to produce energy, such as solar power, hydropower, and wind power. Unfortunately, these ways are very expensive, and because of this, companies choose to use older and more outdated technology that is more harmful for the environment, but is more cheaper for them. Because many companies need to use natural resources, they are forced to look underground for their resources. One of the most common forms of this is called fracking, which is done to get oil. When industries pull minerals from the ground, the process causes pollution in the soil and also can cause oil spills, which are not only harmful to the environment but are also harmful to both animals and humans. The improper disposal of waste. Many companies do not dispose their waste properly. This is the leading cause for soil and water pollution. Landfills are extremely harmful for the environment as they pollute the soil and water pollution, which hurts the environment as well as human beings. These actions have serious consequences. They include the increased temperature, also known as global warming, water pollution, air pollution, soil pollution, the negative effects on human health, and the endangerment of animals and nature. One of the most serious effects of industrial pollution, because of the increase and rise of more industrial activities, is global warming. The industries release into the atmosphere many greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide and methane. These gases are not only harmful to the environment, but are helping to catalyze the effects of global warming. Many of the times, water pollution happens either by polluting the water with plastic or using the water for industrial purposes, therefore damaging it, which then disables the company from releasing it back into the environment. And when they do release it back into the environment, they're actually releasing water that is not clean and is not safe for the environment. Because of many factories from companies, many of the times these factories release harmful chemicals like carbon dioxide, sulfur, and methane, helps in the formation of acid rains and smog, which can also lead to respiratory disorders in humans. A lot of industries use landfills, which are extremely harmful to the soil that the trash and waste is on. Chemicals and toxic materials mix with the soil, which makes the soil infertile and sometimes even kills the plant and other life living in the soil. As I've stated before, the air pollution and water pollution is extremely dangerous to human health as it can cause respiratory issues within humans, and the water contamination can also cause many different waterborne diseases such as cholera. And because of the destruction of forests and other natural habitats for animals, many animals are being endangered after losing their homes, and are also, many of the times because of the pollution, the animals end up eating and choking on these harmful plastics and materials that do not belong in the wild, also destroying the animals' natural habitats. According to an article by the Daily Mail, these natural disasters, which are increasing due to global warming and climate change, are linked to causing broken heart syndrome, a disease where the heart is enlarged and weakened, and is caused by extreme stress and pain, which many of the victims of natural disasters feel. The greatest industrial pollution is coming from manufacturing products from raw materials, such as iron and steel from ore, lumber from trees, and gasoline and other fuels from crude oil and snow. Companies that do manufacture these products emit different types of pollution, and even when companies try to reuse their products, they still contribute to pollution. These products, it is the same way with the same levels of pollution. Unless they set rules to change the way it is made, for example limiting the carbon emissions from the factory, then they are still being a major contributor of industrial pollution. There are many different ways that we can help resolve industrial pollution. Some of these ways are very simple, which include using public transport, buses, trains, taxis to limit the air pollution from cars and other vehicles, and conserving energy, so saving lights, electricity, and water, to even using low CO2 emitting cars. In the past, there have been many different resolutions and conferences centered around trying to battle pollution and global warming. One of the earliest resolutions is the Kyoto Protocol, when in 1995, countries came together and drafted the Kyoto Protocol as a way to help fight against climate change. The Kyoto Protocol legally binds developed countries to emission reduction targets, and according to the United Nations, over 192 parties have signed the Kyoto Protocol. Another important and crucial conference was the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The aim of this convention was to prevent dangerous human interference with the climate system, and according to the United Nations, there are 197 countries that have currently ratified the convention. The most recent international conference on climate change in 2015, where signers of the UNFCCC reached an agreement to combat climate change and to accelerate and intensify the actions and investments needed for a sustainable low-carbon future. According to the United Nations, the Paris Agreement builds upon the convention and for the first time brings all the nations into a common cause to undertake ambitious efforts to combat climate change and to adapt its effects, with enhanced support to assist developing countries to do so. As such, it charts a new course in the global climate effort. The Paris Climate Conference Agreement aim is to strengthen the global response to the threat of climate change by keeping the global temperature rise below 2 degrees Celsius, which is above pre-industrial levels, and to continue and pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase even further to 1.5 degrees Celsius.